Welcome back. And of course, we're all concerned about high prices these days. Maybe the supply chain being interrupted with oil not flowing through the Straits of Hormuz. Well, I'm delighted to have with us today Bruce de Torres. He is the Director of Communication for the American Small Business League. He is also an entrepreneur, podcast host, and former marketing director. You may want to check out his website, ASBL, which is the American Small Business League, ASBL.com. And there's a picture of that landing page, ASBL.com. Bruce, good to see you. How are you today?
I'm very well, Perry. How are you?
Fine. Good to see you. Are we going to see a global interruption in the supply chain for what's going on?
The smart money would probably say yes, Perry.
Okay. How bad?
Painful at best and really bad at worst. That's our evaluation because, and that said, maybe in a week or two there'll be some resolution. Maybe there are talks behind the scenes we don't see, but our impression of the daily events for the last 3 weeks with this war and the building up of actions and forces daily over there raises the great chance that this could be something enormous on the size of the disruptions of COVID-19, even World War II, and even, God forbid, the use of nuclear weapons. And if they start flying and start landing, it's hard to imagine where they stop.
Is this primary concern at the moment energy?
Yes, because of the bottleneck at the Strait and the disruptions at the liquefied natural gas processing facilities over there, the high percentage of the world's volume of that go through the Strait. And yet, I got a feed this morning, I think, for the New York Times. Oil prices are down today. So this kind of prediction is not for the faint at heart. And we'll pivot as things rise or fall, going forward. But if ever there was a time for all Americans to pay attention and make your concerns known to your representatives, your senators in the White House, it would be now.
It appears that the main focus of what's going on now, there's two focuses. One is de-nuke Iran, but the other one is getting the oil flowing through the Strait again. Apparently, they're willing to escort militarily these ships, but ships don't want to move. This could be a Lloyd's of London thing. So the thing remains stuck. Do you think a coalition of countries working together would help, or is this thing just really stuck until it's swept clean of any kind of military interference?
Well, I want to answer in two ways. First, on behalf of the American Small Business League, which is concerned about how everything affects our small businesses. And I feel like saying your guess is as good as mine. Personally, as a man who studied history my whole life, I don't take at face value any announcement by our government, by any government, by any official oversight body, Perry, just because these type of things in the past have been the result of machinations behind the scenes that usually take years or decades to come out. Point being, this war could easily have been launched at the behest of the money powers that are above Israel and the United States in support of long-term horrible global agendas, meaning the disruption to the economies that this could easily cause, including huge slaughter, including huge fighting, and even the use of nuclear weapons, could all be coming in order to wipe out traditional currencies and tell us we need not only martial law and all the control and surveillance that entails, but a new digital programmable currency. And I steer people to the work of Catherine Austin Fitts at solari.com, SOLARI.com, to appreciate the enormity of that threat. And this is consistent with the tech oligarch billionaires surrounding President Trump, meaning this whole war could be intentionally inflicted like a false flag in order for that outcome, which could unfortunately include starvation and famine for much of the world.
That said, why hasn't Bitcoin been more stable?
Not being an expert on Bitcoin, my impression of it is it's a tool over the last many years for wealth accumulation now, and also the investment in that kind of technology that serves that billionaire, oligarchical, technocratic class. That's as far out as an opinion on Bitcoin that I care to share.
Are we going to experience high inflation again, from your perspective?
I would bet yes. The trend in the last couple of years, job growth is really flat in America, and the cost of everything is a primary concern for the majority of Americans and small businesses, really caused by the tariff everything approach the Trump administration has imposed in the last 13, 14 months. Yeah.
Sticking with small business, if I could for a moment just set the war aside, what is the biggest threat to small business?
Ignorance, complacency. It's also the greatest hope, which is just reality, which most people don't have top of mind, Perry, which is the fact that we are up and down, beginning to end, left and right, through and through, nothing but a small business nation. Our 36 million small businesses comprise 99.9% of all businesses in America, with up to 500 employees. That's the government's general definition, and that's too big and it's misleading, because 98% of all of our businesses have less than 100 employees. That's how truly we are a small business nation. And we are woefully neglected by the federal government. And the opportunity and the power that the federal government has to help small businesses is waiting for enough Americans to know, hey, federal government, you do next to nothing for us. You're supposed to steer 23% of all federal contract dollars to legitimate small businesses. Every year you say you do and that you surpass it. But our analysis, our experience, decades, also congressional investigations, Inspector General reports from the SBA itself have shown every year, Perry, billions of dollars in federal contracts go to big businesses. They are reported as small business contract awards. And in Washington, and the SBA pretends everything's fine. And those big businesses don't create one new job to do that work. They're already big. Whereas, final point, when legitimate small businesses get those contracts and those contract dollars, Perry, they will create a couple of million extra new jobs on top of the jobs that small businesses typically create every year. And small businesses basically create most, if not all, for all intents and purposes, of any new jobs that get created in the United States of America.
Another point, Bruce, that seems to be popping back up is the merger of big companies. Some are for it, some are against it. Given AI now very much on the scene, these mergers could be extremely threatening. The other thing is, can the monopoly laws be applied to these mergers?
I'm sure they could be much more than they are. And the consolidation of power into these giant corporations, which really was unleashed in the 90s under the Clinton administration, is yet another horrible pressure on small businesses, but also on Americans who want to save up some money in order to start a new business. It is very much part of the American dream. It's very much part of the ideal of self-government, self-sufficiency that we must aspire and nurture and encourages individuals for it to reach policy, and then to have policy that supports and protects us. So to the extent that owners of companies are entitled to freedom to collaborate and inquire each other and come together, it needs to always be scrutinized through the lens and the analysis of monopoly, trust, and abuse. Trusts, and cabals and conglomerations that squeeze out competition. And a major industry to look at are the private equity firms that are buying up chains and franchises and making you think that in your town you've got a variety of different HVAC companies to choose from, but they're owned by the same private equity firm, so they impose the same pricing. And who gets squeezed? We do. Whose wealth gets extracted? We, the people.
Fascinating. All right, let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out Bruce's website. It's ASBL. I'll get that straight. It stands for American Small Business League. ASBL.com. There's a picture of the landing page. I think you'll find it very resourceful if you're a small business owner. American Small Business League. Thank you, Bruce. Good to see you again. Talk to you soon.
Likewise, thank you.